first.
Good morning, everyone. It's
Buenos dias.
6 a.m. on the 25th of March. Today marks 1,000 days I've been carnivore.
Wow,
I'm coming to you from Central Florida. Please put in the chat where you're coming from, where you're watching, and hashtag KMT for a chance to win a prize
Dr. Kiltz's hat.
Dr. Kiltz's hat.
One size fits all. That's the beauty of it.
That is the beauty of it.
Simplicity.
And this morning, we're going to be talking to Jeff from 3C Joppa Cattle Company.
And I'm here cutting out in about 30 minutes. And this is 70 years plus 13 days carnivore, since we're all born carnivores, but we fall off the wagon, as they say, and we slip into eating the things on the ground that are stagnant or aren't moving, at least to our observation. And we're changed it up because we eat beef from where, Jeff?
I think it's a little company in Texas called 3C Joppa Cattle Company.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Great to see everybody this morning.
And I want to commend Alia for bringing our new intro, and we're going to add to that. And we want everyone to contribute their own ideas, because I'm thinking we got to find ways to focus our revenue and our investment to the volunteer teams and those that are part of the ambassadors of the keto carnivore lifestyle. What do you think, Alia?
I think that's a great idea. And I want to say, since you brought that up, that anyone who does the Kiltz Health coaching course becomes an ambassador for the Kiltz Health coaching course. And we're putting together a commission system. Anyone who's mentioned it to their friends is signed up. So that's a great way to get more people on the course so they learn how to heal their bodies. And it's how we can help return the help back.
All right. And it really is revenue helps us continue the mission of what we do. But if we make it as nominal as possible, then everyone could join, and not making it in a way that is selectively for those that only could afford it.
Yeah, everybody can join.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I
can work out all sorts of payment plans if you want to do the course. It all works out. Kay says she met you at LAX, and she'll please post our pic.
Who's got the picture? Does she have it or do I have it?
Met you at my job at LAX. Please post our pic. Was that the bus? Are you the bus driver? Is this the bus driver?
Yeah. Give me the date. I could go on my phone if we did it, because these are my craziness to find all this stuff. But listen, we are brothers and sisters around the globe. Where are you, Jeff? Texas?
Just outside of Austin, Texas.
Yeah. And do you go to work every day to make sure that those cattle are well taken care of, the grass is, and those of us that love your meat get really good quality?
Dr. Kiltz, I go to work every day to really try to empower our customers and prospects, and really anybody out there who's faced with a beef buying decision, because I find the general public, is not very empowered, when they're going to buy beef of any sort. So really, my job I don't look at it as taking care of the cattle or plowing the ground or helping the soil. It's really about solving our customers' problems, whether they're health problems, whether it's financial problems in terms of how to buy beef, and then educating them so that they feel more empowered and more informed and enlightened, I guess you'll say, when they go to have a beef buying decision.
And just to touch a little bit on beef affordability, when you eat meat, the majority of it is absorbed into your body and utilized as healing and building blocks for your body. When you eat plants, a significant amount of it just goes out the rear end. It's never utilized, and it contains toxins, and it fuels the microbes, the parasites. Bacteria and viruses are parasites, by the way. They're not good for us. And so that's why beef is still the most affordable and healthiest thing to eat, because it helps reduce inflammation in our bodies, and that's the real important part of this. When you say, Alia,
Yes.
Dr. Nelson, and Jeff.
Absolutely.
I would agree. And, you know, to build upon that, Dr. Kiltz, you know, every animal has its own fat profile, right? And nutrient value. And just by the very nature of the Wagyu species of beef, which is what we raise, American Wagyu, you know, the Wagyu has a higher, you know, intramuscular fat profile, more marbling. So that means more monosaturated fats as compared to, I'll say, native beef, normal beef. So it's got a better overall fat profile, you know, as compared to conventional beef. Very rich in those key nutrients, whether it's iron or zinc. And then really provides a more consistent tenderness and eating experience. So really you're getting both nutrition and fuel, you know, in every bite you take of American Wagyu. Not that native beef is bad. We've all heard prime Angus, they've done a great job marketing, but there is a bit of a difference in the fat profile in different species of bovine is really the point I'm trying to make.
Is eating fat good for us, or is it unhealthy for us?
Is that for me or?
Oh, for all of us. I mean, you know, Dr. Nelson, I mean, we've been in the last 50 years plus, maybe 70 years, I think it's probably longer than that, hundreds. We've been taught that eating fat is bad for us, causes disease. So fat in our food and fat on our body causes disease. Does that make biologic sense?
Fat is the stuff of life. It's energy storage.
And the building block of our bodies, reproduction of our bodies, and without adipose tissue, which contains all the minerals, all the vitamins, all the amino acids, all the glycans, and there are 9 sugars in the human body, by the way, not just glucose, and amino acids also. We're dead, and this is our problem. We're listening to the science, and have we made keto and carnivore really a complicated science?
No.
It's got to be simple, right?
I'm reading a book that's called The Big Fat Surprise. And there is quite a few references there to, you know, way back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, you know, many trials and studies that were done that really proved that saturated fats aren't necessarily bad for you, as we've been led to believe, at least in my lifetime. You know, I'm 60 years old.
What is a saturated fat? Is that a scientism in a petri dish? I mean, there's animal fat and there are plant oils. Isn't that a simple way of explaining this? You either eat animal fat, which is really the only fat available, or you eat plant extracted oils. And so is animal fat bad for us to eat?
No.
Is it healthy for us, actually? is animal fat healthy for us to eat?
Absolutely.
It is the most healthiest thing to eat. And how many carnivores cut away the fat, Dr. Nelson?
Quite a lot.
And is being skinny with like almost no fat, so you can show every little muscle fiber, healthy for us? Zero. Bad. Skinny is deadly in a famine. And reproductively, skinny women are less reproductive. And men, same thing, is bodybuilding, muscle focused and lean body focused, and going through all these. Let me get down to like what? 1% body fat, 2%? Is that ultimately healthy for us?
No.
It isn't. So Jeff, tell us a little bit about why C3, fueling our
Joppa.
bodies, Joppa, is focused on a way that is as natural as possible to get the very best meat for all of us. And it's just one of many ranchers and human beings that are taking the time in their lives to get up every day and care for those beautiful animals. Make sure they don't ruin the neighbor's yard.
Yeah.
By the
So
way, where did the name come from?
the name 3C Joppa
Yeah.
came from, we have 3 children that have zero interest in ranching. You know, they're in their mid-20s and they want Starbucks and high-speed internet, and they're, you know, climbing the mountain of their careers and want nothing to do with the cattle business. But since I've been in the cattle business now for the past 10 years, I see what a great lifestyle it is. I miss the corporate check, believe me, but the lifestyle of the cattle business is great. And so 3C means for 3 children that hopefully one day will come back and carry this direct to consumer beef business that we are, you know, been into now for probably 3 years, actually longer than that, since COVID. And Joppa is the little town that our ranch is in. And really the town consists of one thing, and that is a little white church. That's all that is left of in Joppa, Texas. So that's as simple as it was, you know, 3C Joppa Cattle Co. You know, we didn't start out with the intention of, you know, bringing this business into a direct to consumer model at all, right? When we started this thing, well, my in-laws started this 100 years ago. And, you know, fast forward to COVID, we had friends that would come over to the ranch because you couldn't go anywhere. So people would come out here and they would say, "Why aren't we eating your cows, Jeff?" And at the time we weren't selling direct to consumer. And I said, "I don't know. Why aren't we? Why aren't we doing that?" And that's really where the whole transition from the traditional model of ranching, where when you need a little money, you go out and you cut the calves away from their mamas and you put them on a trailer and you take them to the auction barn. That's what my in-laws have done for 50, 60 years, and they've done fine. But the direct to consumer business was really started during COVID when that person said that. And we've leveraged, you know, we didn't just buy cattle, right? So we really built the herd intentionally. And we started with registered Angus cows, and we bred those to registered Angus bulls to create the best prime beef. Everybody's seen that label in the grocery store, Prime Angus. They've done a great job as an association marketing. I don't think Prime Angus is any better than Prime Hereford or Prime Charlet or any other prime. But we used the DNA that we actually artificially inseminated purposely through DNA selection and earn progeny differences, where you literally can buy semen and artificially inseminate these cows to predict better marbling, to predict more tenderness, to predict a greater consistency and a thicker ribeye area. You literally have these data points now where you can create the type of animal that you want to through technology and science. And so great beef that we sell today really starts before the animal was even born. And it goes back 10 years to how the core DNA of that herd was started through artificial insemination.
There's a comment up here.
Yeah, I would like Jeff to check it out and see what he thinks.
I want you to
about it.
read it, Alia.
Yeah, animal fat is the only healthy when the conditions of the animal live a stress-free life. Tortured animals give stress in the fat, which we intake that stress. I wanted to.
Is that a true statement?
I don't know.
100%. 100%.
It's an untrue statement.
Untrue statement.
Untrue statement.
I'm
you're a
saying it.
lion. You're a lion hunting in the wild, and you got a cow, a beef, a bull to capture, kill, and eat. Is that animal that you're chasing to hunt down and kill is thinking, wow, this is really stress-free? Who's the most tortured, stressed out animal alive?
I'd say a human being.
Human beings. That's it. This is the problem. We're claiming that, well, if they just live a nice life, their fat will be healthy. It's kind of like saying visceral fat is the cause of disease. It makes no sense. No sense. We are claiming, again, I agree with raising our animals in a wondrous way, but is corralling them and taking their babies away technically without stress? No,
not at all.
Let's not claim something that isn't true, but ultimately eating animal fat is the only true fat that exists. And it is the healthiest thing to eat. But we keep on getting onto this thing about, well, are they raised properly? Which we want to honor that the best we can, but we're claiming stress-free when, in fact, I don't know, that somehow that animal releases something into the fat, makes it unhealthy. I don't know what it is.
I think what, you know, where the question may be coming from, maybe not, but, you know, is like any animal, adrenaline is released when they are stressed or they are fearful. And if you actually slaughter an animal, you know, at a time where that adrenaline is running throughout their bloodstream and through their muscles, then the taste of the meat will be significantly different. When we call it in the cattle business a dark cutter, and it is amazing how much different the beef tastes when that animal is slaughtered in a super high, you know, stressful environment.
I think the statement is an overshoot that says that that food is unhealthy for you. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. I mean, you're hunting down an elk on your hunt, and that the elk is unhealthy for you to eat. Again, we're trying to be a little science here also and straightforward. We're working to raise our animals in the most humane way, are we not? Right? Are they unhealthy to eat? You may not like the taste, but there's some psychology to all of that also, right? I'm not sure we've had a randomized study that has proven this, but animal fat is the healthiest thing to eat, period. And to now, then we start fighting about, oh my God, was it grass fed or sorry, grain finished or grass finished? Was it in a feedlot? Was it this or that? I mean, plenty of people need healthy food, and sometimes going to Walmart or wherever Price Chopper is still going to get them healthy food to eat, which is still way healthier than the plants that they're trying to control us with.
Totally agree. Yeah, I wouldn't say necessarily that it's healthy grocery store beef, mass produced beef. I wouldn't say it's necessarily unhealthy, but when you compare it to, sourcing beef directly from a rancher versus from a grocery store,
I think what we're saying, because if you can afford it, and you can, by the way, everyone can. Whole point is you're still getting. We're creating an environment that gives us future freedom and creating more grasslands for the true healthiest food we can eat is a lot of what we really are here to do. And buying from the local rancher, like C3 Joppa with Jeff, who I've met personally, we've cooked together, and I can tell you he cares about that. But I just want to clarify for people that are out there who are just like, I don't know if I could do this. I've got my local XYZ. Let me start there. But we want to increase the ability for everyone to have access. And when whatever is going to happen happens, you don't take care of your local rancher. Now there's going to be nobody providing that food except the masters of the message and the money.
And we ranchers are going out of business. Ranches are being sold at a rate that would scare you if you really, really knew it. I don't know, fast forward 50 years, what this is going to look like, quite frankly, because the young people don't want to, it's not for everyone, right? Ranching is not for everyone. You don't know when a drought's going to come. You don't know when a flood's going to come. You can't control Mother Nature. That's part of the excitement about it. But when you look at how many people we have to feed in this country and around the world, it's got to come from a rancher, right? At the end of the day, the beef or the food or the fruit, whatever, needs to come from a rancher or a farmer, even before it gets into some of the grocery stores.
And the point here is that the simplicity of bacon, eggs, butter, beef, salt, this is the baby's diet, is everyone can do it. At all ages, and by minimizing the plants and focusing on the fatty meat and the simplicity. And I recommend it. Do we have a link for Jeff, his ranch and his meat, and a discount that we encourage everyone? I fill my freezer with Jeff's, my brother's freezer with Jeff stuff, and if you buy a quarter cow, come with a freezer, I think, which again, it's a nominal investment. I think you want it all in your freezer. That's the beauty of it. And with a little battery backup just in case, potentially that's good too. But what special things do you really need here? Nothing.
You don't, doctor. And it's really becoming much easier to source your beef from a rancher, not just us, but as a tribe. I think there are quite a few benefits of buying, within the group, not only from the discount, but the rancher is known. But there's a lot of ranchers that people can buy from, but it's just something that's new, right? Mothers primarily, or the females are primarily the food choosers and the food shoppers, right? Although the men like to get the beef and go in the backyard and do the barbecue, it's usually the female that makes the food purchasing decisions. And it is just so new for Susie Homemaker with 3 kids to find a rancher and talk to a rancher about buying beef from them, that sometimes they they just take the path of least resistance and get in the car or the bus and go to the grocery store like they've always done, right? But the truth is, it's so much easier today to source your beef directly from a rancher that you can trust. And second point I will say is, when you have the courage to do that, ask that rancher some specific questions, because you have to trust what that rancher says, because that is the only way an individual is going to know exactly what that animal ate, what species that animal was, how that animal was raised, how it was processed, all of those things. The only way the consumer will know is if they develop a relationship with the rancher that they can trust.
And, I really want to get to the real important part here. We need to support the ranchers so we have access to multiple sources of this food. Because ultimately, if we don't have access to multiple sources, we're going to be in trouble, and our families are in trouble. And that's why the when we live in the box and they basically control the delivery, we're in trouble. And I always go back to fatty meat, organ meats, salt, and water is like a simplicity. Eggs. Do you do any other raising of other animals, chickens, pork, or anything else?
No, we don't. But this morning I had a couple of eggs that my wife has a friend at work who brings her fresh eggs that she raises. And I was just this morning thinking about how much better these fresh eggs taste and look than the grocery store eggs. It's just happened 30 minutes ago, right? But we don't. I've got my hands full raising these 150 head of bovine that are, all having babies right now at the same time, and having to pull a calf here and there, which is an interesting experience if you've never done that before. I don't want any more animals. The cattle I love, and that's really all I care to raise at this point.
Is there such thing as free range cattle?
There are. Depending on what your definition of free range is. You mean fenceless?
Well, obviously there's a fence somewhere eventually, and this is part of the problem of America and everywhere around the world. Everything's been fenced in, and there is no free range, right? We create these organic labels, healthy labels, and clean labels, but in fact we're just getting as good as we can be, because a cow doesn't really want to be controlled and eaten anyway. I would say that it's still going to be a little stressed and all of that, but how is it that I see the range behind you on your screen, that it looks to me like the cattle are not bunched in a small corral and have some freedom, and they tend to move around, not as individuals but as herds. Is that right?
They're very social, not quite as social as horses. Horses become a little bit of a pain. They're so social. They want to be in the living room literally with you. But yes, they're just like most animals. We are herd, just like humans, right? We like to be together. And, the thing the more I'm around these cattle and I see how I don't live with them, but they're right here behind our house, and I see them every day, and I see how the mothers act and react. And I don't know if I should share this story, but basically it's just amazing to see how protective and motherly a bovine, a cow is with its child. It's so close to what a human female is like. Same gestation period, they cycle every 30 days. They take 9 months to have a baby. When that baby is born, they will sit off in the pasture taking care of that baby and won't even come to the feed truck most of the time, right? There's some younger, mother cows that aren't very attentive. It would be like a 15 or 16-year-old human mother, right? Just they don't really know what to do. But after 2 or 3 years, it's just amazing to see how protective and how loving and caring these animals are for their young. And I believe animals have feelings, right? I mean, I don't know, maybe not fish, but I can see it in these in the herd. When one of the babies gets injured or is getting chased by a coyote, or it's not just the mom that's over there helping. You see that most of the herd run over there and try to surround that baby to get it away from the coyote. I say Wild Kingdom. Boy, I'm really showing my age when I say you've seen this happen on Wild Kingdom before. But yeah, I don't even know what the point of that was, but I just wanted to share that, Doc.
One of the things I think is important, we invite everyone into this community: vegans, vegetarians, Mediterranean, pescatarians, carnivores. We are not judging anyone or anything as trash or bad. We're inviting everybody. And if you're eating Costco meat, I can tell you, we had 150 pounds of Costco meat at our meetup, and it was delicious. And I know there was a rancher behind some of that, for sure. And what we're saying here is, hey, look at our good friend Jeff, who gave up a lot more safety and money to be out there caring for these beautiful animals. And we require human beings to do the work to care for the animals. And that happens on all sides. And we want to support all our brothers and sisters in this. And eating meat. And I've got freezers full of Jeff's meat, and I recommend it. I bought it for my brothers. I highly recommend it for everyone out there. But again, you got to do something different. It is critical. Can we get organ meats from you too, Jeff?
You can. We sell the organs, the whole organs, as just individual whole organs. Or we also have it's a very popular product. It's a offal infused ground beef, where we infuse 6 different offals of thymus, pancreas, kidney, liver, heart, and cheek meat at a 10% ratio into our regular ground beef. And our regular ground beef is an 80-20 mix. And so we're mixing that 10% offal into the 80-20, and it makes a super, super high nutrient ground beef that, if you slide it in on someone who doesn't know they're eating organ meat, because in their mind they're like, oh, organ meat.
Know it. They wouldn't know it.
They wouldn't know it. Even my wife, and you can tell a little bit when you cook it after you do it. It's got a little bit of a different smell, but in a little different consistency. But yeah, that is a really, really popular product. You can buy all of these right off our website. But I was going to talk a minute about prices, if I could for a second, Doc, Aaliyah, Dr. Nelson, if we've got a minute.
Sure. Then we got a bunch of questions.
So I can't tell you the last time I went to the grocery store and actually looked at beef, but I do search prices online. And right now, the average price across the country, retail price for ground beef for decent ground beef, is $7 to $8 a pound. All right. $7 to $8 a pound. When an individual buys a bulk beef share from really any rancher, not just us, it's the principle of buying in bulk, you get a lower unit cost. And for carnivores, for those people who eat a lot of beef, that is the smartest economic way to purchase beef, is in bulk, just like you would anything else in bulk, right? And if you buy a quarter or half, you can get that price per pound from 3C Joppa down to $12 or $13 a pound, right? Heck, you go buy a ribeye now, even not an American Wagyu premium cut, and it's going to be $30 a pound, right? So that's one of the things I really want to communicate to the audience is it may take a little bit more out of your pocket at one time, but if you do buy in bulk, you can get that average price per pound really, really close to what, ground beef costs.
And is ground beef alone as a food for humans good for us?
I'm not quite sure I understand that one. Sorry.
Well, my point is that ground beef is very healthy. And the beauty is you could take your whole cow and ground it all up. It's the healthiest thing you could eat. Throw in some organ meats from C3 Joppa and like is the best. And the bones with the marrow as healthy as can be.
It is the easiest to prepare. You don't need, that's a great point. We sell a 10-pound, beef box, and all it is ground beef. It's probably one of our biggest sellers because, we're all busy, right? And preparing a short rib or preparing a brisket or preparing some osso buco, to do it properly, it takes some time. Dr. Nelson, you know this. You don't just get a brisket and throw it in the pan and, 5 minutes later it's ready, right? That's a 5, 6, 7, 8 hour process. Ground beef, heck, you can take it out of the package frozen, throw it in the pan, and in 5 minutes, you're feeding your entire 5 or 10 minutes, you're feeding your entire family. Good quality, highly nutrient food.
What do we spend most of our time doing?
Sleeping, probably.
Well, right, but it's always about what are we going to eat, and it's about how do we prepare it, and getting a recipe book and figuring out how to cook, how to process, how to prepare the thing that no other animal thinks anything other than let me eat that.
That's the fun of it too.
It is enjoyable, but it's also creates a lot of dysfunction in all of us is part of the problem.
Yep.
Our food is to fuel the master machine in order to go do work, but we don't work anymore. We watch. Now, I'm grateful for watching here, but keep it short and sweet and go to work every day. I mean, that's what I do is go to work, and I recommend it for everyone because it's not about the money in the bank, as Rick so graciously always shares with us. It's the work we do to connect to our families and which is essentially our community. I mean, isn't that the most beautiful thing that, Austin, Texas, Columbia, no, Dr. Nelson and I are both in Florida right now, and people from around the world are connecting and sharing ideas. And all you need to do is get some ground meat. You don't even, you eat it raw. Actually, it's like the best thing for us.
Yeah,
it's amazing. I was my friend Josh, who's an amazing guy, and I cut up some dry 3-month-old dry aged beef, not cooked. Best thing ever.
it's kind of a cross double-edged sword, the availability of food in this country. And, our society, I think, has, we've built our daily routines around food. Like, where are we going to go? My wife would just as soon go out and eat every meal out versus dirty up the kitchen. That's just her, the way she rolls, right? In our community, I think the majority of the folks in the US, look at all these restaurants and high-end steakhouses, and it's like food has become like the centerpiece of our gathering, and it's so available and many times so unhealthy, that it's a double-edged sword. All the availability of food that we have, and then we have the time to go out and eat it versus doing the same thing, but at home, preparing it yourself, saving money, buying it in bulk, it's kind of I guess, a double-edged sword. The amount of food that we have that's available, and really consuming the right amount and prepare the right amount, the right way.
And by the way, this is a platform for everyone, and all ideas are welcome. Thoughts, as gracious as we can be, that's always the most important thing. What we're sharing today is someone like Jeff, who gets up every day and cares for the animals and the land and the grass. My friend Mark McKinley from Bighorn Mountain up in Buffalo, Wyoming, it's all about the grass and the soil, right? So tell me a little bit about the grass and the soil, and what's happening with the grasslands in the dirt.
Oh boy. Well, that's exactly where it all starts, Doc, is the nutrients that are in the soil. And then those nutrients in the soil are absorbed into the plant. And then the plant, the healthier the plant, the more protein in the plant, the healthier the animal. And so what's happening with that is our grasslands are disappearing, and ranch lands are disappearing at an alarming rate in this country. But for those who have the land in their family and are trying to improve that and improve people's lives through good quality, clean beef, it's incumbent on us ranchers to not only take care of the animals, but also take care of the soil. And so what we do as regenerative ranchers is we do not plow, we do not till, we feed our cattle on native Texas grasses. And I want to encourage and help those native grasses grow as much as I can, even in the environment that we have, which is very much a drought, right? But if you plant grass in a certain way and you fertilize it in a certain way, when I say fertilizer, sometimes that's a bad word, just like when you say the word feedlot, sometimes that's just a bad word. But fertilizer can come in many, many forms, and feedlots can come in many, many forms. And what I mean by fertilizer is taking the cow dung, the manure, and using that as fertilizer, and only doing no-till drilling of any kind of seed that you want to plant. Takes quite a contraption of a machine to do this, but it basically, runs a little line down the dirt, puts a little hole in it, and injects the seeds into it, and does not disturb any of the other native grasses that are around it. Farming 101, which I've just learned the last few years. I've never been a farmer, but we as cattle ranchers try to farm because that helps us feed our cattle, right? We got to have a little rain to do that, right? So, yeah, it's an interesting combination of farming for our cattle and learning how to do that in a way that improves the soil and then improves the quality of the output of the beef.
Do you know Texas Slim?
I do, not personally, but
There are people out there like yourself, Texas Slim, Mark McKinley. Oh my gosh, trying to remember from
Justin with the carrot cattle.
Justin carrot cattle. Also back up to Wyoming where we were for that meetup 2 years ago with trying to again. There's so many. I mean, even Tyler, right? Tyler and others. I mean, there and also in Colorado Springs. It'll come to my brain right now. It's 70. It's amazing how these things begin. It takes longer to find. There's so much in there.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many people like yourself that are really coming together, and I think we should have a panel and maybe a group discussion and sharing this. Again, it's like so many small farmers. Or I'm going to get to wineries and things like that, which small amounts infrequently are probably okay, maybe, but are sustaining our lives on ranches and farms and locally and homegrown, which any and all of us can do this ourselves, right? That's really the more we share these stories of, hey, where'd you get that? Where'd you get that? Where'd you get that? What quality? We're really supporting our brothers and sisters to continue to be able to support, so we don't have to rely on the buttons to deliver, overly deliver stuff we don't even need to eat, which is harmful for us. And Rick said cows live on fat and humans live on fat. This is the most important thing of our truth. But go ahead, Dr. Nelson.
We have a lot of questions, and we're
Let's
not
get
going to
some.
have time to
Get
go
'em.
through them.
Get them.
Okay.
Start going. Get 'em.
Hollywood Saint 57, is creatine healthy for bodybuilding?
Eat fatty meat. Eat beef. A lot of creatinine in there. Creatine.
Okay. What is the carnivore hen now? What is the ideal body fat percentage for a man?
Don't know that. There is none.
All right. This is Peter. He says, hello, I'm from Greece. Fasting 15 days OMAD with fruit and veggies and nuts. And after that, 2 days dry fast. And for some reason, I don't understand why I can't raise my blood temp to 36.6. That's Celsius. I've always had 35 to 36 Celsius when I only eat boiled eggs. Boiled beef or eggs, I start to warm up for 3 to 4 hours. Any idea of what's happening?
Poisoned by plants and a low-fat diet.
There we go. Candy Fraser talks about Wagyu in a bad way, but seems to appear somewhat true. She said Wagyu are unhealthy and have very difficult births, which cause them to only deliver via C-section, which is
Jeff, when was the last time you called the OBGYN to come in for C-section on a cow?
That is total misinformation. I don't
Oh
know.
my God. I love Candy Fraser. Love her to death. She's a great, amazing, but it's too complicated.
Yeah,
it's too complicated. It's fear mongering.
Wherever this came from, the Wagyu are unhealthy, is that is where you can't believe everything you read online, or they're goofy looking animals, and I can show you they are very strange looking animals, but you don't judge a book by its cover. Yeah,
again, around the globe, people say a lot of there's a lot of anti-animal ideas, and again, fat is the most important, healthiest thing to eat, and Wagyus in general are fattier animals, aren't they?
Yep.
Okay, next one. This was talking about the stress in the animal question. Chronic stress,
Is it?
acute stress, or maybe it's just not.
We don't know. It says chronic stress or acute stress. Could there be a difference? I guess it depends where the bullet hits.
Yeah, or at what time they're slaughtered. Like I was saying, if there's an animal that has a high level of adrenaline when they're being processed, that would be an acute stress. Could make a difference in the taste of the meat.
It could, but again, we think psychology. This is our problem. We're warriors. We're afraid to be stressed. That's BS. Again, it's like, oh, you got to be calm. They're trying to give us marijuana to make us calm. All right, and no animal wants to be killed, but they're fierce and strong. Adrenaline is the kill you hormone molecule.
Question: wild animal versus domesticated animal could matter.
On that, I don't know if you've read the book, what's it called here? The fat, the Big Fat Surprise, talks about the difference in the fat profile of wild animals. There was a study done, I don't know, back 50s or 60s, where the fat profile in wild animals was significantly different than the fat profile in domesticated animals. I don't know if you've read that book or know anything about that.
Well, let's just take domesticated humans versus wild humans. Is the fat profile different? Yeah. But the story is simple. I mean, we're fatter because they domesticate us and they feed us, overfeed us. I mean, technically a cow that isn't overfed is going to be leaner, correct?
Correct.
Right. And so when we talk about fat profile, what do we mean?
In this instance, my recollection was that the wild animal was found to have way more polysaturated fats than domesticated animals. But the saturated fats between both the wild animal and the domesticated animal were the same. And I don't remember why that was. I just found it very interesting. It kind of goes to the question that Vanden 3960 is asking. And I'm sorry I don't have a better answer for it.
Well, I always go to there's animal fat and there's plant oils. And the simplicity is eat animal fat and you're fine. I think we make a complicated scientism, petri dish science out of the simplicity of C3 Joppa, eat the fatty meat, enjoy your day, go to work.
People like to complicate things. So
They do. I mean, ultimately, we just got books and books and books and books and books. Someone sent me like a 10-page dissertation on sperm technology. Some PhD has a technology that's going to pick the best sperm. Next question.
How many, Dr. Dan asks, how many animals has Dr. Kiltz killed? He'll be with us tomorrow.
Man, like infinite. As I drive, fly, walk, breathe, like how many bacteria and viruses do I kill every day?
Brian Dish wants to know why the ranches are being sold so fast.
And some of them are not being sold, but just going under bankruptcy, right, Jeff? Am I right?
Yeah, that's really what it is. And they haven't adapted. They haven't pivoted to the old way of ranching, the old way of farming. And quite frankly, the younger generation typically really doesn't want much to do with, the old family ranches, where in their mind, that's just a bunch of hard work. It's outside, it's in the sun, and it's never made my family any money because we've been poor all our life. And so when that land gets, moved to the next generation, typically first thing the kids do is put it up for sale. And then they sell it to one of the big, publicly traded corporations that their whole objective is not to provide quality nutrient rich food, but is to improve stockholder value.
Money over mommies, men, and masters.
Capitalism. Yeah.
The leading cause of bankruptcy in America, medical care debt.
Yeah.
The modern medical system is stripping us of our health and wellness, and a complicated science is really complicated. Eat fatty animal meat. What more do you need? Next question. Let's go rapid.
Faith, Karen, I have always heard that you thaw meat, you shouldn't refreeze it. Is this true? If so, why?
I don't have a scientific answer on that. I do it all the time. Yeah,
I do it too.
Yeah, never had a problem with it.
Megan.
You can't keep just information for the audience. You can keep beef, I know, in the freezer for a period of 1 year with zero degradation in nutrient value or quality. After 1 year in the freezer, you start losing a little bit of nutrient value, and it starts degrading a little bit.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
What are your thoughts about SSRIs? I don't know if this is with relationship to cattle.
Well, Jeff, does beef have an equivalent to an SSRI? Which, Dr. Nelson, what is an SSRI?
It's an antidepressant.
Certain selective receptor inhibitors.
Yeah.
What's it for, Dr. Nelson?
for depression.
So how many people take a antidepressant or SSRI in America or the world?
A lot.
Millions.
Okay, so Jeff, do you have a treatment for depression?
Oh yeah, we have the psych ward for our cattle. They're pinned off. I can tell by the way their ears are and how they're acting and their heads
Oh, yeah,
down. They
that's
go over
real.
here and we treat them special, right? And the cost to treat those 10 depressed cows are more than the rest of the herd. You know, I'm kidding, right?
Yes. Okay. So no, my point is, do you have a treatment for all humans that will no longer need their SSRI by simply eating fatty meat? Done. Because most people don't eat fatty meat. They cook the meat. All the fat's gone. You eat fatty meat, it is the SSRI, which again, they don't want you to know that because we gotta keep up the stock price, don't we?
Yeah, the big pharma's waiting for them.
Love. Well, go back to that one. Love is
Oh.
the solution, but ultimately, it's simple. Love thyself, thy neighbor, thy enemy, because they're all simply one. They're you. And eat fatty meat. C3 Joppa. Repeat. Next question.
Jennifer Edwards wants to know if you process your own meat.
No, we outsource it to a small time processor in a county next to us. We looked into it, and what we thought was going to be $1 million to build a processing facility turned into 5, and it has to be USDA certified and all stainless steel, and it would be a great business, but not something that we wanted to get into.
Your gut will process everything for you. and the beauty of meat is like it's the best thing to eat.
That's right. Leah,
right.
Congratulations. Email me, alia@drkiltz.com. You just won his hat. Thank you.
Awesome.
Ollie, can you
this
ask
last one.
about the 30/70 thing real quick? Because
Sure.
I've got 2
Are you-
animals going in for processing
Who
tomorrow.
would like 30/70 beef? You have 1 minute to text in the chat from Joppa's beef.
Versus an
Drop it, right?
80/20, a higher fat content ground beef. Would that be of interest to the tribe?
Yes. Quick question for you, Jeff. How do you determine if it's 70/30 or 80/20? And when do you determine that? And do you add more? I mean, ultimately, it's either lean meat or fatty meat or fat separate, adipose tissue. So how do you determine and say, oh, this one's 80/20, 70/30?
I pick up the phone. I say, Steve, these 2 animals that are coming in tomorrow for processing, we'd like the ground beef to be 70/30, or we'd like to be 80/20. And he basically takes the proper amount and mixes with suet, as unrendered tallow, right? Kidney fat and other fat from the animal, and makes the percentage whatever. If you want 50/50, we can make 50/50, right? That's something the consumer and you tribe members can choose, and we can literally custom make it to the needs of the tribe members.
But that's excluding in general the rib roast, strip loin. I mean, there's certain pieces of that animal that always go whole and then get sliced into individual. Is that correct?
Yeah, just from an economics perspective, Dr. Kiltz, so you would never want to take a strip loin and grind it into ground beef, because if we did that, we ranchers would go out of business really quick, right?
Right, because you make the money and you make a more profit from the rib roast or the strip.
Not necessarily. Ground beef can be just as profitable as a high-end steak.
But you always are there any other large cuts that you always separate out because that's where the consumer
One.
profit.
We gotta go.
Briskets. Yep.
All right, bye everybody.
Bye.
We love
Thanks.
you.